Hello and welcome to the House of Crypto. In today's episode we're going to look at Cardano, why it's been booming recently, whether that boom is going to continue or whether we're going to see a break to the downside. We're also going to take a look at some up and coming news about Cardano to see what exciting projects are coming up in the future, some short-term price targets and some longer-term price targets. So guys, if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you stick around to the end to be kept up to date with all of that. If you're new to the House of Crypto, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button in order to be kept up to date with all of the latest happening in the markets. I'll also not try and sell you anything like many of the other channels are doing out there at the moment. Guys, without further ado, let's jump on over to CoinGecko. So jumping into CoinGecko, we can see Cardano currently trading at 66 cents, having dropped down 6.1%. The last few days we've been seeing green day after green day with many big moves to the upside. So it's the first day in a few where we've seen a bit of a retrace and people are starting to fear that maybe this run is all over. But we're going to look at some news to work out whether that's true and why it might potentially have taken a bit of a retrace. So we currently see the market cap sitting around $21 million. $21 billion. People have been talking about Cardano being a potential Ethereum killer. Ethereum is currently sitting around a market cap of around 155 billion, which is obviously significantly bigger. Now, for Cardano to achieve that market cap, there's obviously potential out there. However, there's many more coins in supply than there are Ethereum. So for Cardano to be testing Ethereum prices, with Ethereum currently sitting around the $1,600, $1,700 mark, it's probably very unlikely. However, that doesn't mean there's some potentially really great returns to be made. One thing you might want to consider to start with, at the moment we've got many people entering Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin currently trading high 30,000s, 38,000 approximately. Ethereum trading currently at 1650 at the time of making this video. What does that mean? So people who are new to the market, these prices are extremely big. We know that you can trade parts of a coin, but that's actually less interesting for people who are new to the market. So something like Cardano has a much more interesting price. Okay, so 66 cents, we can go and buy a big portion of that for maybe our $100 we've got available, or $1,000, whatever it might be. Okay, so that makes it much more attractive for the investor who doesn't know much about this, and that means that there's far more room to grow as it continues. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin and Ethereum will stop growing, but it means it's much more attractive to your everyday investor. And now that it's moved up into that top 4 spot, it gains a bit more reputation. Another thing to consider is that it doesn't have the team that Ethereum has in terms of the size of team. So Ethereum is developing every day, and Cardano is developing, but not developing at the rate that it wants to be, because it doesn't have necessarily the funding that it had before. However, as we've seen this big surge in price, that means that there's going to be much more money available to enable Cardano to bring on more developers and enable them to work on their projects that they've been working on. So what I want to jump on over into is the Cardano roadmap. So what is the Cardano roadmap? So the Cardano roadmap is each stage of Cardano as it is being rolled out. Okay, so the main beneficial point of this is that each stage of the project is completed and it upgraded all the time. So if you're implementing the Cardano project into your business, then it's upgrading and it's designed to be able to upgrade much more easily. This compared with Ethereum doesn't have that built in. So when Ethereum is upgraded, there are opportunities or potential for the risk of errors going into the system. Now, that doesn't mean that Ethereum is going to fail, but it just makes it much more complex a problem to solve. Cardano, on the other hand, is designed to be able to be implemented by people with much less coding knowledge. Okay, so you might have a bit of a basic understanding of how coding works, but you don't need such a deep knowledge of coding to be able to implement the decentralized Cardano system into your business, which makes it a much more attractive opportunity as a business owner to implement. So we're just going to take a quick look here. So what is Cardano? Cardano is a groundbreaking proof-of-stake blockchain network being developed into a decentralized application, a DApp, development platform with a multi-asset ledger and variable smart contracts. Built with the rigor of high-assurance formal development methods, Cardano aims to achieve the scalability, interoperability, and sustainability needed for real-world applications. Cardano is designed to be the platform of choice for the large-scale, mission-critical DApps that will underpin the economy of the future. Okay, cool. So it does a similar thing to what Ethereum does, but it's much more usable. Okay, now obviously it's competing against a company that's been around for much longer, and therefore it's gonna take a while to get the the notice and uptake that it has done before. So at the moment we are in the Shelley phase of decentralization. However, that's soon moving over, and one of the reasons we've been seeing a big increase in the price is we're moving into the Goguen smart contract era. Okay, so we've started already with the Goguen smart contract, but what does that really mean? So I'm going to read a bit of this and then try and sort of simplify what it is, because I know it might sound pretty complex. With the integration of smart contracts, the Goguen era represents a big step forward in the capability of Cardano network. Where the Shelley are decentralized the core of the systems, Goguen adds the ability to build decentralized applications on Cardano's solid foundation of peer-reviewed research and high assurance development. Okay, so that means you are now going to be able to, or companies are now going to be able to start integrating Cardano and make use of this as a project. Yeah, many of us were just using these products to make money out of, but they actually perform excellent functions. So it's not just focusing on what it offers in terms of price, but we're going to start looking at what they do in terms of use as an application, why this can be such a beneficial thing for people. Because this, if you can identify a project that's going to be really powerful and really offer some great value, then this is where we're going to see like great returns in our investment. If you're finding these projects that have come flying in, and sorry Dogecoin, but have come in and don't necessarily offer something that useful, that ultimately they're going to go to they're going to disappear. And it's quite sad that Doge's flown up, and maybe you've made some money. If you've made some money on that, then stick it in the comments below and let me know how it's been going. But don't be left holding the bag of that when it potentially goes to zero. Obviously not financial advice. I'm not telling you to go away and buy it or don't buy it or whatever. Okay, but do your own research and be prepared to lose money on things. Anything could go to zero, so always never put in more than you can afford to lose. However, looking at Cardano in my eyes, it's looking really positive, and here's why. So continuing on talking about Goguen, the Goguen work has been underway in parallel with Shelley. Okay, so happening at the same time, and when complete will allow users from technical and non-technical backgrounds, that's the key, non-technical backgrounds, so people who aren't that savvy with like coding, etc., like myself. So if we want to think about something else, I don't know if any of you have heard of something called Shopify. Previously, to build like an online website selling something might be really quite a complex thing, but now you can go to Shopify and it gives you the platform so that you can implement and use their system. If you go across to Wix, you might not know how to build a website. You can go to Wix and you can drag and drop it and make a website in that sense, similar way. This is another way that someone is basically providing the framework for you to be able to go and use this program. Okay, it's much simpler. This is really powerful, and this is really important to understand. Cardano accessible to wider audience via Marlowe, allowing financial and business experts with no previous technical experience to create smart contracts. Marlowe is a high-level domain-specific language for financial contracts, which is built of Plutus. Marlowe comes with the Marlowe Playground, an easy-to-use application building platform, and non-programmers can use to build financial smart contracts. Understand? Okay, so we can use this program to build smart contracts. We can make the use of smart contracts and decentralized smart contracts and everything that's great about them. And now we can implement them by using this Marlowe program. Even if I don't understand how the technicalities of it all work, I can understand the benefit and I can implement it into my business. So I'm not going to dwell on that any further. Without further ado, let's jump on over to the charts. I'm going to make some short-term predictions, looking at the fundamentals, and we're going to look at potentially down the line and where we can end up. Okay, here we are looking at the 1 hour on the ADA USD. As you can see, guys, we've been chased. In the last few days, we've been flying up through this yellow channel here, and obviously, as we know, and we've seen Ethereum do it, we've seen Bitcoin do it, it can never go parabolic forever. Okay, so obviously we've broken out of that channel and we came down pretty hard, and you see that we came off and bounced on the 1 hour off this red line, which is the 50-day EMA. Okay, what I'm noticing is we have these significant lines of support and resistance being built. And we came back down and we retested this red line, and then we put in this solid line here, which we broke through, and then we continued to the upside. So you noticed previously that was a line of support. It came up, never really gave much resistance, but has provided a good deal of support as we come along. And then we've kind of built up to the other side, and we come back up to this line. So previously we saw reasonable resistance here, broke up to the upside, back staying in the channel, broke out of the channel, broke this line of support all the way down. And now we found resistance here. We've come up and we've flipped it into support. So that's really positive, guys. Okay, so today we've been dropping down a bit lower, and there was a good buying opportunity down here. However, you know, in my eyes, this is not a bad buying opportunity here, right? We've come back down. It would be my expectation that we're going to push up again, and tomorrow, potentially tomorrow or maybe beyond, we're going to be back testing this channel. I don't think, you know, to break back into this channel, you know, it's probably not going to happen now because we've been moving sideways too fast. But if we flip over to a 4-hour chart, again, we're looking, you know, looking much more solid. So, you know, the benefit we've got now is that we can put in potential, you know, not financial advice, go away and do your own research. However, what I'm looking at is that we can keep this line of support here because of the, you know, this bullish confirmation where this candle's been engulfed. You know, we can put a stop loss just underneath this line, okay, and that gives us the potential to actually minimize our risk, but we've got really great potential upside on the buy, okay. So where we would then potentially look to come would be up here. In terms of what we're looking at in terms of like a chart pattern, again, we're seeing, you know, the triangles, you know, I like to observe these triangles, so let's just change the color for you and make it pink, just to make it easy to see. So as you can see, we've been following this little trend line up, and if we were to draw a line across, although we've had that breakout above it, we could look at this in two different ways. So maybe potentially we would draw our wedge across here, we were going to break there, or we'll come up a bit higher and see how it plays out. If it breaks to the upside here, you know, then we're gonna see more upside, okay. I would like to then see it come back, retest before pushing further to the upside, okay. However, I think right now what we're going to see is a push up until this point around 69 cents, and then, you know, if we can retest, that's great. However, if we don't break through and we get rejected again, then what we're looking at potentially is a double top, and double tops always have the potential to go to the downside, okay. So be careful about what you're looking at here, whether it's going to continue to push to the upside. I would be looking at buy with maybe some take profits here, and then, you know, if it's rejected, then possibly I would wait to see whether it comes back down. It might then find support and continue to the upside. However, the sentiment of what's happening, the news that's coming along, I'm pretty confident that Cardano is heading in the right direction. We've seen a bit of a dip, you know, today off of a Bitcoin, a little dip. Ethereum taking a little dip with Ethereum futures being released today. However, Ethereum looking quite solid and has again taken a nice bounce and heading back onto the upside. Stick around later, guys. I'll put out probably another Ethereum video later on today, as I have a few ideas about what's happening, and I want to make a bit clearer about what's happening, because a lot of videos are not giving much detail over there. In terms of the longer term, guys, so in the short term, I'll be looking, you know, in terms of this pink chart pattern. In terms of shorter term targets, I would be looking to move on up to around, if we were to break out this pattern, and this pattern does confirm to be what it is, you know, that's looking at 84 cents, okay. So that would be in terms of a price increase, potential increase of, let's bring it up to 84, what's that, 22%, okay. That's not necessarily going to happen, that's just under, sorry, 21%, so that's not necessarily going to happen tomorrow, but I can see that happening in the next coming days, guys, okay. However, go away, do your own research. Always use stop losses, guys. If you're not using stop losses and you're day trading, then, you know, you're running the risk. It's always better to lose a little than it is to wipe your account. Always make sure you can come back and be trading tomorrow. Yeah, so zooming out a bit further, we come back. As you see, like, Cardano's not been around for a huge amount of time. What we're in at the moment, guys, we're in price discovery mode. Okay, so it's very difficult to look back at previous lines of support and resistance. And as we saw with like Bitcoin recently, once you get into price discovery mode and there's like lots of news and stuff coming, you know, we just have to kind of like watch how it goes. Don't overexpose ourselves, but, you know, the trend is your friend, guys. At the moment, we're in a great bull market. There's huge amounts of buy volume coming into this. The way I see it is I try to not bet against the market, so I believe the market is going to continue to go in this direction. The only times I've ever been burned is when I've bet against the market, okay, where I've put in maybe a short and it's continued to go up. However, if we're not overexposing ourselves and we're putting in good solid long positions, then, you know, we can play out. If it potentially comes back against us, we can play out and wait our time for it to come back into the green, okay? Because it's, at the moment, the bull market is continuing, and it's going to continue until September, October time. You know, if we stick with the trend, then we're always going to be looking into profits. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't go against you. It can obviously go the other way. It's risky. Be aware of that. Anyway, jumping into just before I finish up here. So yeah, longer term, it's difficult to make expectations at the moment. But guys, like in the next coming months, the news is going to be huge. I think $1 is what we should be aiming for right now. In the next coming days, I think we'll be heading towards that. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw $1 by the end of February, and beyond that, like $5. Is $5 possible? The opportunities like this, to 2x to 5x, maybe even 10x your money, I think are worth a bit of a bet. And in terms of how I've put a bit of money into it, I'm starting to build. Majority of my position sits in Ethereum at the moment, but I'm starting to move money into things like Cardano, things like Litecoin, things like Zilliqa, which is something a really exciting project I've been looking at, and I'll bring some more information on that. And Polkadot. Any of you have got some ideas of what you've been trading, then stick it down below, and I'll see if I can cover that. Quickly, sorry, I keep promising I'm going to jump onto this. So the DXY, which is the dollar index, guys. This is on the monthly chart. So as you see, we have seen the dollar falling recently. Okay, so this is the last year or so, and this is obviously where we've had coronavirus, etc. that's come and had a big effect. We've had lots of money printing, etc. But don't just believe that narrative, guys. Okay, obviously the printing of the dollar is a problem, and it will continue to happen. But we're still not at the all-time lows, guys. This was back in 2008. We had the financial crisis. We have still significantly higher there. So don't just believe that that's the only reason why value is being built in Bitcoin, etc. Pay attention to other things that are happening. Don't just buy the narrative and what people are trying to tell you that's happening all the time. Quickly, so jumping into this, we've come down to the 200-day moving average here, and we've taken a big old bounce, guys. This is very key to be paying attention to, because if this can hold above here and move back to the upside, then it means inevitably our price on the dollar in Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. is going to start falling. Okay, doesn't mean it will fall because you'll have money coming in from other places, but it will have an effect. If the US dollar is going up, then people will be more keen to keep their money in dollars rather than putting it into assets like gold and crypto. Okay. However, if it doesn't manage to continue on this upside, what we're looking at here is another pretty good old double top pattern. This side on the right, slightly lower, nice to the left. Where would this fall? This would fall a considerable amount. Okay, bear in mind this is on the monthly, so it's not hugely fast moving, but that would bring us all the way down here to sort of almost on the money, down to all time lows. Anyway, thanks very much for today's video, guys. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I hope it's been valuable for you. I've really enjoyed learning about Cardano and bringing more information about it to you. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of the latest happening in the markets. And I'll be releasing a new video probably later on today on Ethereum, and I've got lots of stuff in store for you this week, guys. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Thanks very much for your time, and I will see you again soon. Take care, and bye bye.